I'm gonna do the whole presentation. Yeah, I can present. I'll present, but I just have my drive up to explain things.
Love it. Oh,
Hello.
that's a great one. Subscriptions. Sorry.
Right, right. So here we are chatting, and we've hit record. I didn't even hit present. Can I tell you how many times I've done that lately? I've just started a meeting, and it's like, oh, I should show you my screen.
Right. You're like, and as you can see, and then it's like, you can't see.
Cannot see. Why can't you see? Gosh.
No one
All
sees,
right,
right?
share
You're like,
screen.
oh, it must be glitching. It's like, girl, you're glitching. That's the story of my life.
Exactly.
I'm like,
It's
oh,
me.
is it
I'm the
me?
glitch.
It can't be.
I know. I literally just told my husband, I was like, oh, I need wine. Like, it's not an official PLC. I need wine, and
That's
we're out
right.
of wine. We're
It's not.
totally out of wine.
Boo.
Oh,
It's
super
not Thursday
boo.
with Shannon if I don't have wine.
I know. We have this bottle in our whatever, in our closet. A friend of ours gave it to us, and it's like a sweet red, which we don't drink. It's literally been there for like 8 years. That bottle.
Yeah, not
It's
that one
always-
though.
No, not that one. And
Anything but.
let's I know, let's chat about finishing up the year. What do you think?
Heck yeah. Cleaning
Yeah.
up and close. Or what did I say earlier? I was like cleaning up and closing out. And then I realized we called it cleaning out and closing up. And I was like, they both work though. They both work. Like, let's clean up and close out. Let's
Oh my
clean out and
gosh.
close up. I know. English is weird.
I did not even notice that.
I know. I was typing it earlier and that's not what I said. And then I went back and I went, oh no, that's right. It's cleaning up and closing out. And then I went and I was like, like my brain like couldn't process because I was like, that's not what I said, but that's not what I'm reading, but it's the same. Weird.
I probably wouldn't have even caught it. I was just like, closing.
Yeah. And scene. Right.
Done. May
It's
what?
April. Right. You're like, and shut her down.
It will be interesting to see how your cleaning out and closing up is now that you're out of a classroom. Like, I wonder what your perspective would be.
Let me tell you. Well, so far it's been, and maybe this is why I'm getting these like headaches recently, like I was telling you, is just the many swirling documents that have like it's just an inch of Venn diagram like right in the middle, and then like 6 yards of like not so like all these different people are like working on all these different things, and they all have to be put like here. So it's like all of those things like that you get at the end of the year, which like your sign off sheet, your check off. So now being the person that kind of like curates all that for everybody and making sure that like everyone knows what everyone else knows and all those kind of things. Super fascinating to see like how decisions are made, to see what things we can change. Like, that reminds me, I have to ask my principal something tomorrow. To say, because she's in charge, and I'm like, I have a question about printing grade books and like the way you verify things and check off at the end of the year and all those kind of checklists and things. Super, super interesting to be like on the other side of that and trying to plan all that, but also trying to put all of those documents in one place in a way that's accessible to everyone, that's quick, that's like streamlined, because that is super hard to do. And there's so many different documents in places because like, we've got a big admin team. So, and we're one of like the smaller ones. So we've got a lot of people working on a lot of things. So it's been really interesting being like, oh, I need to get dates from you, information from you. Oh, wait, you're changing your mind. That's going to affect the dates and the information. But, and you just keep like circling back. Holy cannoli. Like
all
that.
with the intention of, can I please use this again next year?
That's
much
right.
like teachers.
That's right. Like all with the intention of like, let me look at what we had last year. Let me figure out, or what was used last year, right? I didn't like have a part in it, but like have, like, does this still apply? So it's going back over all of those little like micro details. I'm super lucky that it seems like a lot of things still apply and not much is changing in terms of like posting grades, like those big things that you have to like retrain people on and learn yourself. Cause I'm like, oh, I don't know. I didn't do it because I was just like we were the same. So, yeah. And then fielding all of the end of year questions, people leaving, what do they do with Google Drive? What do they do with OneDrive? What do they do with, not losing their stuff? And yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Things get a little more urgent,
You're like on the other side of, when we all get the checkout, we're like, who made this? And you're like, I'm the maker of the junk now.
1000%. So I've also tried to use that power for good, not evil. And I've like deleted some stuff that I'm like, no, ma'am, Pam, like get out of here. Or like put it all in one place, like
Yes.
make the check off like a Google form that says yes, and I know the things, but then the grade verifications just like come in, sign the paper, be gone with it. You know what I mean? Like, and also I feel like half the battle's like who's going to be where at what time to do what, because per our theme, closing out and cleaning up, like I got stuff to do. So as each classroom teacher individually is like assessing, going like, what it is I want to do. We only have 1 day of post planning this year. So like the children leave, yeah, we normally have more than that. And so like the children leave on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Then we have Thursday. That's it. Off contract starting Friday. Graduation's like early in the morning. Goodbye. So also figuring out all of that, like, did we post grades? Did everyone have grades? Did, you know, that reminds me of another thing I have to ask about tomorrow. Like just all of these different things that need to happen. It's fascinating being on the other side now and being like, oh yeah, no wonder that was confusing in the past. I don't think it needs to be that confusing, but I understand why, you know,
Right.
like, so it's nice having been a teacher because a lot of times like that person has not been, you know, so it's like,
Yeah.
I don't think you realize how overwhelming this can be, but
I feel like my languages are English, Spanish sarcasm, and now administrator.
That's
So
it. And like, and also like digital organization because it's
yeah.
like,
Yes.
what in the
Don't
world
let
are
me
you
forget to
doing?
show you a thing that I figured out remind me to show you the lesson plan template. It may come up in here. Drop down things in Google
Oh,
Docs.
yes.
Headings. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Like yeah, the smart chips and all the drop down menus, dude, killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super
I'll show
good.
you. Yeah.
I
I
didn't even think
almost
about
have
it for
to.
lesson planning. That's smart. Please share that.
Oh, hold on. No, before you decide it's smart, it could be terrible. We'll get to, could you just tell me if I'm an idiot on this one? No. So
Impossible.
we'll just show it later. It'll come up in like planning for next
Oh
year.
heck
All
yeah.
right. Sorry. Distraction.
Also, like, where you're gonna save it to be able, yeah, to like have it for next year. So that's super smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one
Totally
of the
goes.
things that we have to contemplate, especially as teachers, is if you've got staff leaving, if you've got new staff coming, like how do we take what we've been doing and make it more accessible for who's using
Yeah.
it if they need to be, or pare some of it down, or prepare for somebody to come in. Like in my case, I'm going to have a teacher who's brand new to teaching.
Right.
How do you make it in the most easily digestible way possible for them? That's the lesson plan thing.
Yeah.
All right. So
And here we go. Yeah. That's hard.
I love that this was your number one. This was the Meredith slide, the file organization deletion, because I am the queen of getting rid of junk.
Yes.
Sometimes it bites me in the butt, but most of the time I'm like
Right.
your closet. I didn't use this year.
Yeah.
Don't need it.
That's right. My thing is too, I was talking to the amazing Lisa McCarg yesterday for the podcast, and she was talking about just minimalism in general, but her rule of thumb, which she got from like at the minimalists on Instagram, one of their, I think, like webinars or like master classes or whatever, was like if you can't recreate it or get it back or like get it again in X amount of time or X with X amount of dollars, then keep it. You know, like if it's going to take you longer than whatever or cost you more than whatever, keep it. You know, whatever your limit is. I mean, the same way we don't get rid of like, it's not like, oh gosh, it's 80 outside today, I'm going to throw away all my jackets. Like, no, we just archive them over here, you know, so it's the same kind of thing. But if like 3 winters go by and I'm like, okay, like I have not worn the following, then maybe I need to reassess if I need it. So same thing for files. Yeah. And I'm a person like in pre-planning, I like to come home, or actually like right before pre-planning, I like to like at home just put like a movie on my iPad. So I know I've got like 2 hours, right? Go in the laundry room and just iron anything in my closet like possible that could possibly need ironing. Because then I have no excuse not to wear it. I have no excuse not to like put it. So if I pulled it out right now and I said, "Oh, I love this sweater, but like it's super wrinkly." Well, I don't have that excuse if it's ironed. So like you just got to admit that you're not choosing it and you need to get rid of it or donate it or whatever. So I think of the same thing with files of like, did you use this worksheet or this quiz today? No. Like if you didn't use it this year or maybe even last year, get rid of it. If you don't want to get rid of it, or it's maybe not yours to get rid of, either get rid of the shortcut like in your drive, wherever that lives, or again, Lisa McCarg, she's like, if you want to start your Google Drive from scratch, like without consequence though, you make one folder that's called like the big scary hole of whatever. Like if you feel like it's just like totally chaotic, then you just make one folder that's called like archive. You select all, drag them all into the archive folder, start fresh. You've not lost anything, but you can start now and decide like, all right, are we calling them units? Are we calling them chapters? How are we naming things? I want to name consistently, and I want to start it from scratch next year. If I make anything this summer, I want to also have those systems decided so that I'm not opening my Google Drive in July when we go back and I'm like, oh, this crap again. I mean, because it's like
Right.
coming down the stairs in the morning and there's stuff all over the counter from dinner and the dirty dishes and this. It's just if that's a thing that bothers you, that disrupts kind of your peace. There's a way to there's some ways to manage that.
Yeah, I mean, going together with all of that, like I am such an organizational nut. Like I probably make too many folders, but like I have my system down, right? Like I know this is my French 1, all of my stuff here, my French 2, it's broken in by unit.
Same.
Like I couldn't probably function without it.
No,
without
I
having that
certainly could
organization.
now. The way I was doing it for a couple of years, like those first couple of years teaching, I was like, what a disaster. And there was no like cloud, then. So it was just like on a flash drive, all on the device,
Yes.
whatever. And now I'm like, I get why it's overwhelming. But it's like also I'm not walking around my house unless you are. And then that's like a separate thing. I'm not walking around my house looking for my socks in the kitchen, or on the patio. Like they live in a place. I know where they live. So can I apply that same thing to, other things like my files, like my things? I finally got to where I realized, and this was also through conversations with Lisa, she's changed her Instagram handle, but for anybody watching or listening later, she's at Lisa J. McH, like MCH on Instagram. She's fabulous. Former Spanish teacher turned digital organizer. So she does that now like professionally. She's available for and she's so good at it. She's available for consultation. She does like that is her jam and she's really, really good. And she talks a lot about confidence. Like if you don't want to delete stuff, it can also stem from confidence or like a lack of confidence because I know for me it did. It's also the same reason I don't get rid of clothes. I go, oh no, well what if I gain weight or lose weight and then I don't have things to wear that I feel good in? Same thing with files. If you send me something awesome, I'm gonna keep it. But like if I still haven't used it 3 school years from now, but you send it to me and I'm like, oh, but it's so good. And like, what if I do want it? And what if I can't myself recreate it? It's literally that. It's like confidence in, but what if? Like, what if I can't,
So literally, this is exactly what I've done because I've changed schools within the past, decade, switched schools. So I literally have a folder that says resources from previous schools.
Yes.
So if I know that I did something at this school or at that school, and I'm like, I don't remember my file systems, I don't remember anything from those schools, it's all in that one place and I can just search in that one place. So yes.
Amen. No, that's
don't be afraid of the big scary file.
Yeah, just put it all in there and then you'll have that fresh, clean. Again, it's like wiping off your whole kitchen counter and you're like, now we can cook. Like now I'm prepared to actually create in this space because I'm not like, and where is the also getting to name things the same. If you're calling them, I don't know what quiz is in like French, but some people, there's all these different names. And one of them's like try, like the verb, like to probe, to try. So it's like, or the noun from the verb. So you might have like, if it's like unit 1 quiz 4.2 and then later you're like prueba 3.4 and then later you're like examencito and you've got to figure out like what it is you're doing because next year it's not going to be helpful. You're like, oh, I can't find that unit 5 quiz. I knew I made one. Well, yeah, because you called it like examencito and you put like for copies and you didn't put the number. You just said examencito for copies, saved it on your desktop and moved on. So now it's in your OneDrive, like you don't even know what it is. You don't even know when it is, like all of it.
Or if you are the person that you can't come up with good naming conventions, grab those lesson plans, baby, and link that junk in here.
Link them all in place. Then then it doesn't matter where they are. You're like,
no.
Or if you do the, we were just talking about the smart chips. If you do the like, see in that doc, if you are able to edit, like literally just click like anywhere within that French 1 unit plans.
Sure.
And like do just like an this is my life.
I I'm probably the only person who has a Mac who's like, I don't know how to use it. Like my fingers do these things.
That's funny. Right, you're like 3 fingers. Sorry. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Do like at and then type the word unit.
Oh yes. There you go.
There you go. Like literally anything, and then click like any of those because we can just delete it. So like smart chips and links are your freaking friend. And then you hover just like you just did, like you hover over that little preview and you go open preview, and that bad boy opens right there in the screen. Like incredible. And so now you can see like what it is that you have, and you don't have 1,000 tabs open, and you don't have, I mean, you might anyway, because that's kind of the nature of planning.
Yeah.
But you can just see that little preview when you hit like open free and then done. Like amazing.
Dude, yeah, the linking inside and out, like I know that I have showed this several times, but I'm such a fan of it, especially because like a 265 slides. That is my first unit in French 1, which you're like, what in the world? But it's all linked inside one place.
Yes.
So my entire unit is just in one slideshow. Like link your heart out.
Link your heart out. That slideshow makes me so happy. I've seen that probably like 3 or 4 times now, and every time it's like, oh, like that to me is my friend Laura. When we became friends, but I was student teaching, she was just in the department. And I'm telling you, it was like angel music when she opened up her cabinet, because she had page protectors, every unit in a binder, and she had all of her, she was like goals. And it was her first year. She was just like an adult. Like I was 22, but she was like 38 or 40 or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she was like second career. So she like had her stuff together. And then just like as she got stuff, was super intentional, printed out in color so she could see kind of like what it was, for real. And then page protectors in chronological order throughout the unit. What? So she was like, oh, and like opened it up. And then she had all the manipulatives too. So she had shelf of binders, units 1 through 10 or whatever. Then below, she had these like boxes and magazine holders with like manipulatives, games, everything in big baggies. Like, but are you freaking serious? Like, it was so intentional. And she was like, this is my one goal this year, period. Yeah. And then what was nice is because she had everything, she could show you and not go, well, what I'm going to do is walk through her plans. And you're like, I can't visualize it. Like, what? Yeah. Right. She'd be like, well, or do you want to use my game? Like, I've got the card game. Yes, I do. And then how collaborative is that? And thank you. Super collaborative. She was great. So it was just having that intention and having seen models like that slideshow and being like, that's the goal. Like, that's what I want. Then I could see it because I didn't even know that was possible. And that became like my goal too. So I find stuff like that really helpful.
I want to know her because honestly, I still have my first, like I had color coded binders for each level. I'm like, oh, still have those.
So good. Right. You're like, I should make some copies. Because I also, we're techie, but I love pen and paper all day long.
Well, and because you and I are techie doesn't necessarily mean that our kids are. Like, I think there's such a whiplash going back to, please don't put a screen in front of me, for learning. So tell me about what you were talking about with the first unit of 24-25.
First unit, I just love to have copies for for like the entire first unit as much as I can, ready before pre-planning. So if that's like the first, if that's like going in a little bit and like setting up the classroom and everything the week before pre-plan, that's my jam, because when pre-planning comes, even if you have 3, 4, 5 days or 2, whatever, multiple days, the first day is what? Everyone's like tan and shiny and happy and relaxed and they're catching up. It's like very hard to do work that first day. And then second day is like, oh crap, you get that checklist from admin and it's like, oh, we got stuff to do. So that's,
and then all the copiers break.
Yes, I was gonna say, because everyone's using them and none of them are the right capacity. Ours, it's hard to find one that's the right capacity for what we actually use. So yeah, I like to leave the school year having like the stuff I know that I'm not going to change. Warm-up sheet, dictation sheet, my wide open unit templates that are just like my go-to forever and ever, amen. Like I want to have 200 of those in stack, just ready, right? I don't care what I'm going to do with them yet. I want to have like file folders ready. I want to have whatever it is I'm going to need for that first unit. That way I don't have to think so hard. And even just literally going through your Google Drive or your OneDrive or your computer and any like worksheet or quiz or whatever that you made, just printing out one original, putting it in a folder. I leave that someplace that like I know I'll come back to for pre-planning, and I leave it like tucked in my planner or something. And that's the first thing I find is I'm like, all right, now I don't even have to open the computer, spread out all my files, Let me figure out what I want to make copies of, use again, and I'm going to go make those copies. So I've got stuff, you know, feels tangible.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that first unit though, because it's the middle of April, and for about 2 weeks, my brain has already been thinking, what am I doing for next year?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Dear Shannon, you still have a couple weeks left to do this year's job. It's
Yay.
good that you're thinking ahead, but
Like
let's not like observation tomorrow, Friday afternoon. Like, seriously, come on, get your junk together.
I think about August. You're like, but also August.
Yeah, that's totally me, because I have literally for at least the past 2 weeks been like, next year.
Yeah. Time too, when it's fresh on your mind, and when opinions are really strong about it, when you're like, you know what I'm not doing again? That, you know, like that was terrible. We did not use, you know, or the opposite. Like I tried to stop using Conjugemos for like a year. And then I was like, never again. I love Conjugemos. Like for that formative practice, just for them to see and just to put, it just really works for some people. And I know people say it's, but not for an assessment, you know, I'm not taking a grade on or anything, but just to see, like, just to see. And I think you can use it intentionally, and they have other stuff besides conjugation. So I'm a fan, but yeah, it was like, if there's a website or something that you're like, let me see if I miss it. You want to remember that you're like, yeah, I did miss it. It was worth the money. We need to renew that or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Pre-planning to-do list. You were the, is yours digital or is yours on paper right now?
Usually on paper.
Mine is too. Mine's right next to my desk.
In a place, again, kind of like those originals, like those copies. Like I want to have a place. So mine's going to be in a drawer, because I'm not like in my office. I've got some drawers now, which is really cool. So I can put it in a drawer and be like, anything I need, I've got like empty drawers. So anything I need, like when we come back, I can just put in that drawer. Because I know there's going to be documents. I want to print out this year's like beginning of year checklist, all my ideas. I'm just writing down furiously. And then like anything I need to do, I'm kind of color coding or circling in red, highlighting, whatever. But I'm going to put it someplace. That way I just have to go to there, and I'm not thinking about it, not worrying about it, and I'm not going to forget it. You know, that's the other thing. But I've done it in the past electronically, and then just made sure to like put a sticky on my planner, like open up to-do list. It's in your bookmarks. You know, that way it's, you know, just as efficient.
Right. Mine's not even my pre-planning list, because my brain does not work well during my planning period during the day. I can.
That's the time to dissociate.
Dude. Maybe take a nap if you need to. Yeah. But like, I can't sit and actually be productive as far as lessons. So like, I can grade, I can do email returns, I can call parents. I cannot create lessons during my planning period. And so I use my summer. You know, we don't have kids. I have a dog. My husband works at home. So it's like, I can sneak in a couple hours during the summer to do the bulk of what I need. And now luckily I've been where I am for a couple years. Like I don't have to make everything from scratch. So I don't have a pre-planning to-do list. I literally have a summer to-do list. Like these are the things.
Yeah.
And I'm not even calling them a to-do list anymore. I think you mentioned this one day. It's not a to-do list. It's a checklist. Yeah. Do the things that you want and or can, and don't feel guilty if you don't get to them all, because I love checking off a checklist. And so if I don't get to them all, like I need to prioritize, you know, do get some rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and just also like that can be, I mean, I'm obviously like, yay boundaries, yay all the things. We learned a lot in COVID. And I think we just learn a lot as we mature in like our whatever professionalism. And also, I know that for me, it can be more stressful feeling, at least, to just like, let go and no, they don't pay me for the summer and this, that, and the other. But then you come back and you're like, you know, it's like, yeah, you're right. It's like bananas. So that to me, it's like that thing where, thank you. It's like that thing where people say like, don't, you know, don't do any work on the weekends or whatever. But then like, well, that's going to make for a terrible Monday and some Sunday scaries like nobody's ever seen. So I think also it's important to like be okay with what does and doesn't stress you out, because it's different for everybody. And like, you might work during the summer. I might go, oh no, absolutely not. Like I would never, that's not my mentality. I'm the same way. I work all summer, but like, you know, just here and there, like you said, by choice, having a cup of coffee, Michael's doing something. I'm like, well, I'm thinking about it, you know, and then it feels empowering. So it's actually the opposite of, you know, stress, because I chose it and I got it done. And I know that I wanted to get it done, and it just, I don't have any other choice. So yeah, super individual, but that's how I am too.
I just really like to not, because I know I will be stressed during the school year if I'm trying to make new things. So I
Yeah.
really prioritize my time in the summer to
Yes. And you're
alleviate the
fresh
stress for the
and
other 10
uninterrupted, and you're
months.
not like the same way you're when you're like planning. I only have 20 more minutes, like, "Meh," and
Exactly.
I can't work like that. I'm like,
Oh my
no,
gosh.
that's not
Yeah.
fun to me. And then I know that I like did sort of like a halfway job, and then I feel bad about that where I'm like, oh, that
Hmm.
lesson could have been cool, but I just did, well, girl, because you did it the planning period before. So
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
don't.
Don't
I
try.
also just stuck in there the schedule send because if you have Outlook or
Oh,
Gmail or
yes.
anything,
Yes.
super nice to give. Like if you've got little reminders for yourself and they won't overwhelm you, snooze email is your friend. Schedule send is your friend because I like to say I'll have a couple of emails that pop up or just a draft. There's where you're like you don't need to. I mean, I love fancy things like OneNote and Wakelet and whatever, whatever. But even just like an email draft that you
Hmm.
open up on your computer and you just keep running where you're like, another thing. And then you can keep editing it, but schedule it to send 8 a.m. the first day of pre-planning. Girl, bye. Like that is so
That's smart.
efficient to me. Yeah, I've done that
Yeah.
a few times now, and it's so efficient to me because I'll be like, oh, look, an email. And it's like, ta-da, any kind of reminders like that. I know I'm going to be checking email constantly. And if that bad boy can either snooze back to me in the future or like schedule send to me in the future, heck yeah, that's what the technology's for.
I really hope that you address it as Dear Future Meredith.
Dear
Love,
future
past
Meredith,
Meredith.
love past Meredith. You're welcome.
That
Yes,
would be
absolutely.
fabulous.
Duh.
Um, so when we were talking about this, I thought of different ideas like what to do before summer. The first thing that I think of is all the subscriptions. I feel like during
Yeah,
the year, we're like, I'm gonna try this for a month, or I'm gonna try that, or I really like this. Like, evaluate whether or not you still want them. Like,
yeah,
I have a subscription that I haven't really logged into for a year.
yeah.
It's cheap enough, but I want to keep it because when I get the daily emails, I'm like, oh, I should print that off, but I don't have time to print these things off. So
Right.
summertime stuff. And I think we sort of talked about it this whole like while I'm thinking of it, like
Mhm.
that's the purpose of the paper on my desk. I literally put a little bullet point like while I'm thinking of this, write it down for next year
Right.
and just capture those thoughts, whether it's about organization in your classroom, whether it's about a tech tool you want to play with, whether it's about something that didn't go right or went really well. Like,
Mm,
don't say, oh, that reminds me, I should think about this. Like,
mm-mm.
write it down somewhere, have it
Do it.
somewhere
That's right.
so that you can look at it.
What's that house cleaning? I don't think it's like a Marie Kondo or like a famous organizer, but I read it somewhere years ago and have tried to really stick to it since the like tidying philosophy of touch it once, where like if you pick up something out of the living room, like I'm just gonna grab this like old camera bag that we just got from a family
Cute.
member. So it's yeah, we got to figure out like what all everything does in there. It's a camera and then some other equipment. So like if I'm, cleaning up and this is sitting on top of the dryer because it's right outside the garage door. Like we walked in, we were like, "Hey, let's figure this out later." We set it on top of the dryer. But then later I'm like, "Oh, you know what? I got to take that upstairs." So then I take it upstairs later and then I put it on the stairs
Something
to go.
else.
Right. And it's like, why is it taking like a 3-part train trip, upstairs? Touch it once. Like if you finish the glass of water, don't put it in the sink to put it in the dishwasher later. Put it right in the dishwasher. If you need something that you need to take upstairs, don't put it on the stairs to take later. Just take it upstairs. Like it's one trip, touch it once and get it to that. That has been fascinating and is that same philosophy of like, do it now. Do it while you're thinking of it because then later you won't go, oh no, what's that thing? And that's like so stressful unnecessarily for
And
me.
honestly, like I grab my phone if I think of something and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, remind me tomorrow at 4 o'clock to do this, or remind me
Same.
whatever. I think my phone actually is like, what do you want to be
That's
reminded
right.
of at four
Siri's
o'clock?
like, you rang.
Shh.
Right.
I that literally whatever most people have smartphones. If you have that smartphone, if you're thinking of it, set
Oh,
yourself a reminder.
same.
It's amazing.
Same. I even
Um,
to check that like planner or wherever I put the stuff. I'll be like, remind me on July, hey, you know who,
yes.
SIRI, like remind me on July 25th at 8 a.m. that my to-do list is in my desk drawer, and like that's it. And now I'm like, boop, wiped clean for all summer, unless I choose not to be.
Unless yeah, exactly. We actually talked about that just one Google folder. You mentioned earlier about like putting it in like an archive. I
Mhm.
sort of have the opposite take on it because I have my work computer and I have my home computer. And so sometimes, and I have different Chrome profiles and all that stuff. I like to keep it very separate, but for whatever reason, sometimes you may only be able to log into just one of them. So like maybe you're at work and you can only do this one folder. Maybe you're at home and poor Ben, every time Ben takes his computer outside of his district, he can't get onto the internet with it.
Fascinating. Yeah, some are like that. That's right. I forgot about that at school. Poor guy.
And Lil. Oh my gosh, the whole week at Lil last year, he was like, I cannot use computer.
Help me. Right. You're like, time to get your own, buddy. Time to get your own.
I know. So so I created like here, please don't look too deeply at my my documents, but so I have I teach at Jackson High School. So I made a Jackson High School folder in my personal drive. Also lessons learned from moving schools that didn't have Google Takeout.
Right.
I have my Jackson High School folder, and then I just shared that folder with my work account. And so everything that I do for school is in this one folder. I don't have like my work drive and my home drive. It's all in this one folder. Aside from, when you download things at work, because we have teacher Chromebooks, when you download the things at work, it goes into the drive automatically. But I'm pretty good about moving it to where I need it to go.
That's true too. And figuring out like that, where your stuff goes, and then also deciding how you feel, you're like, where do I want it? Like there's where I think I should put it, but it's like, what are my options? That's the exact same thing I told a colleague today too. And the exact same thing I do is I'm like, every folder that I'm in consistently, like any documents, I put both of them on both of my like personal email, my Gmail, and then my school Gmail on there because I never know. And then if I'm trying to share it or what, do want to do different things, like also, if school Google gets shut down tomorrow or something happens and I'm let go, I mean, I'm like, not right. Like, I'm not like gonna get fired, I hope, but like, you just don't know, whatever, something might happen. I want to still have all that stuff. So I at least have a backup, account on it, which I think is super smart.
Cool.
Just a copy, just right click and make a copy, download.
Yeah. Well, and I have gone to let's put it all in my personal drive and just like shortcut it into personal, professional, like Control Z is my friend.
Oh, that's the best.
And I just like Control Z all over the work stuff too, because it's always like post this here, put that there, move this here.
Oh yeah. Just put it right
staying in Shannon's folder, but we're gonna give you access to it and it's gonna still look like I did the thing.
Amen.
And I think we talked about this earlier on, sometime in the year, where we talked about, hey, if as you're teaching and you notice that something's not going well, give yourself like a little comment. Like I'm a Google Doc person. So I leave comments. Like the very first one in my French 3 is, my French 3 first unit is terrible. Like I was creating it and I was like, this is so good. It's Jacques Cousteau. It's past tense, all these tenses. It's a good review. And every year I teach it, I'm like, this is terrible.
This is garbage. I hate it.
Or it just doesn't work for the kids. So literally first page of French 3, I share my stuff with my friend Jason. I have a comment off to the side. It's a comment off to the side and it says, at Jason Dorick, this sucks. Don't use it. We will recreate it next year.
I'm working on it. Yeah.
So as you're finishing out, like go back and see what you've left comments on. Because if you're like we are and want to do stuff over the summer, like you left yourself breadcrumbs, go eat them.
Yeah, absolutely. And be realistic. And if they're slides, use the slides or drawings, use the gray space. The gray space on the edge of the slide is a great place for like a little text box and just a note to yourself where you're like, these audio files suck and we need to re-record. Like, because the thing we would do is like, you don't need them till October. It would be like, oh, I hate those Unit 3 audio files. Oh, same. But then it's like October or September feels so far away. Correct. And it's like, no, we're never going to remember. And then when we open them up, we're like, oh, crap. We meant to remake these for the quiz. Well, girl, it's too late. The quiz is tomorrow, so either spend some time doing it or put it on a different unit that's like, hey, remind yourself, to do that. That's right. Like using the gray space that students don't see. My favorite.
Love that. You are really good at that gray space stuff.
Oh, I love the gray space. Yeah.
Revolutionary. Also, like, I think we all purchase things online or get the freebies.
Yeah.
And if, like if I'm doing it at work, it goes just somewhere in a random, like in my drive. I have no idea where it is, no idea what it's called. Like I was looking for a rubric today and I made the mistake of searching just the word rubric. 5,000 responses. And I was like, well, bleep, this is not what I'm looking for.
I don't need all of them.
No. So I was thinking about it earlier. And I was like, oh, you know what? A purchases folder would be really good. So like if you have a folder where you're like junk that I have bought, if you, because
Yeah.
Berta shares all of these great, amazing things. And so you pull them down and you're like, this is great. And then you're
Yep.
like, I have no idea where that is. So if you just
Right.
drop them all into that purchases place
Yeah.
or download, I wouldn't call it downloads. I would not call it downloads. I'd call it
Yeah.
purchases. Then as you're looking through it, you can go put it where it belongs. But I
Right.
was looking at something in my drive the other day. I was like, what is this? Where did I get it? Why
Yeah.
did I get it?
Right.
It's another layer of organization where it's like, oh, you put all your stuff in this folder, and if you
Yeah.
decide after 2 years you don't need it, okay, junk it or move it to the
Yeah,
archive or do
right.
something.
Right.
But it's
Something.
not clogging up your drive.
Well, and like your plane of vision too. You know, you're not constantly having to like go past it or whatever. It's like I
Yes.
only have. I love your folders too because of the use of the chronology as well,
Hmm.
like your numbering system. I think people forget that you can do that, or maybe they don't realize, you know, because that's sometimes like also a thing is like not realizing that you can have like Jackson High School there is like folder
Mm.
number 6. So like,
Mhm.
you know, you can have like 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, 3B, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Mhm.
because that's how Google Drive is going to naturally organize. So it's like, yeah, if you want if purchases always get buried because you called it purchases and P is always like somewhere at the bottom or whatever,
Mhm.
um, then call it like 0 dot purchases, you know, and
One
it's
A.
1A, and it's
Stuff to look
immediately
at
yeah,
later.
like stuff to look at later, and it's immediately going to be
And there
like, "Oh,
goes.
hi," and it's right there.
Mhm.
Like
Exactly.
use those defaults that can be so annoying to your benefit.
For sure. And I'm going to plug you because I didn't even think about changing the colors of things until you mentioned it like years ago. And I was like, oh my gosh,
So
you can
good.
change colors and put emojis and all that stuff.
Yes, so good.
All of these are like linked to like the colors, right? Like so my
Yeah,
school colors are red, white, and blue. Then we've got
yeah,
it just
so good.
I didn't think I was that person, but I really actually like the
Yeah.
colors.
Well, it's almost like
Um,
training your eye. Like you train your eye to go like, that's I look for red, and then I find myself getting a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient with my time, and my workflow. My only complaint, Google Drive, I know you're listening, is I wish you could color code the folders for other people. Like if you and I had a shared drive, you
oh,
color coded all the folders. I wish they would stay
show
that
up on
way
your
for
end.
viewers. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they don't. They're all just gray.
Ah, bummer.
No,
Mhm.
which really
Um,
stinks.
And I would wager that anybody watching this probably knows about model classes in Google. Do you do well, you're not a Google district. You
Ooh,
are.
we are. Yeah,
You're an
yeah,
everything district.
that's right.
Um, and
Absolutely. Choices are for suckers. We have it all.
this is literally and I need to go to my other one. One of those almost gray spacey things, because I
Mm.
think when we all started switching, oh, that's scary, don't look at that. But when we all started switching to learning management systems, it was what do you do with it at the end of the year? And you don't want the kids to still be in there. You don't want to have like multiple classes year after year. So people just started archiving. And then they would be like, oh, wait, I put this thing in there. Where did it go?
Right.
I've lost my class. And so several years ago, we started doing these things. It's a model classroom. So we created a classroom that we never archive, that we never put kids in, that we
Right.
never, it's just the place to put stuff. And so everything that I need, oh, that's out of order.
Love
Um,
that.
everything that you need is literally already there and organized.
Mm.
So it's already housed in this one location. It's like a virtual copy machine, I guess.
Yeah,
So
I'd say like a little sandbox. Mm-hmm.
yeah, like this is where all the things are that I need. And then I can just get rid of the classes that I had this year, make a new one, and just drag everything over. So instead of remaking something, you just do the create and reuse and pull it from your model
So
classroom.
good.
It has been a massive lifesaver for me, time
Yeah.
saver too.
Oh, for sure.
Um, yeah, so
That's really
doesn't feel
smart.
like I don't think we're like changing anybody's whole life today, just making you contemplate
Mhm.
some things that you might not have thought
Yeah.
of because we're all brain dead at this point.
Well, and yeah, and like workflow is so personal and so different where, you know, I could look over your shoulder and go, wait, what was that shortcut you just used? You know, or something
Mhm.
like that. Like you just never know um like what somebody else knows. And none of us knows all the same things or all the
Right.
things, you know? And so it's like it's just
Not
really hard to like figure out what people know so and also to figure out what all I can do with certain tools because if I haven't seen it done or I didn't know
right.
you could do it like why would I be like I think this process is just kind of slow for me. I might not even know there's another choice. I might go like, oh, such and such is a really clunky program. But then I see somebody who's like amazing at it using it. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even know
Yeah.
you could do that with Google Drive. Like, I have colleagues who have said, like, I literally just thought Google Drive was a disaster for everyone. And I'm like, no, it does not have to be that way. Lisa McHarg said the same thing when we were talking yesterday. She's had like clients just say, like, I didn't know I could live like this, like I had no idea. And it's like,
Come over.
yeah, you know,
Oh, my camera's
you
gone.
can.
Yeah.
Oh, where's your face?
Yeah,
There
because
you
I
are.
my fat fingers on my mouse. Yeah, it's like listen, me and computers at this point. Yeah, come on over to the clean and like nice, pretty,
Yeah.
organized side of life
Like
because it's
it's a thing.
fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good one.
Fabulous. Yeah.
All right, any closing thoughts? It's been a fun year with you, lady. Thanks for
Oh,
joining me.
I know it. I know it's been fun hanging out.
Yeah.
I can't think of any closing thoughts except for, just thinking about start kind of having those like micro reflections and really
Mhm.
like really looking at your day to day. Again, I mean, it's like coming down the stairs and going like, God, again, just because we both live with people, like, are you
Right.
serious? You didn't even clean up the pots and pans. Like I thought you were gonna, like, if you realize that every single day you come down and X, Y, and Z stress you out, or the opposite, X, Y, and Z, you're like, man, there's nothing better than walking in, to whatever. And I've got a friend who gets his dry cleaning like picked up at his house and then they deliver it when they're all done. So he has like a little patio. I know
Yeah.
that's a thing here in Gwinnett too.
Yeah.
He's not in Gwinnett, but I was like, what? So he's got like a little patio and they just like there's a nail and they just like get it off the, nail and then they put the hangers back on the so it's things like that. Or like if you get your house cleaned on a regular basis by somebody
Hmm.
or whatever it is where you're like, I didn't know it could be like this.
Hmm.
I think we think closing a school year like it's just we're all like, whoa, which is true, but like it doesn't have to be like a stressful whirlwind of it's going to be anyway. But
Hmm.
there are some things we can do, like organizational things we can do, because organization's a skill. I think
Hmm.
people are just naturally good at it. Like, oh, Shannon, you're so organized. You're like, girl, this took work. Like, this is not how, because to me it does. I'm like, I'm not left to my own devices. I'm like, save it wherever. And then
Oh yeah.
later I regret it. I'm like,
Mhm.
so now I've trained myself to be like, no. And now I can't just be like, save it wherever because I'll like I'll fix it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important is realizing like what every day either like brings me joy and peace or just makes me want to pull my hair out. Can I control it? And is it something that I can change in my own like systems, patterns, behaviors, etc.? If it's not, well, then don't worry about it. But if it is,
Right.
start thinking about that and put those things in a place that you are going to see when it matters.
And it's also good, like knowing yourself. Like my
Yeah,
colleague is very not organized and I am very organized. So I take for
yeah,
granted, like, oh, I've got all my stuff lined up here. And she's like, oh my gosh, I want mine to look like that. Like
yep,
find somebody that you can work with who will
yeah,
help you get to the places that you need to, right? Like
yeah,
I think just finding the person, because maybe you don't, maybe you're not good at organization, or maybe you're not good at this or that. Like, don't be afraid. I think as teachers, we're very afraid to show that we don't know everything. And I think as we get, I'm
okay,
getting a bit older at this point, as if you can't see the gray
right.
hair, but I am, and I'm just bold enough where I'm like, listen, I don't know what this is. Can you help
Yeah,
me?
same.
Like,
I'm getting so much more confident in that.
yeah,
That used to make me really self-conscious, and I'm
yes,
so much better now about like, girl, I don't know.
yeah,
Why would I know that?
yeah,
Like
exactly. I know somebody asked me something about a paycheck the other day, and I was like, not my job. Don't
that's
know.
right. Don't know.
Literally have no idea what this is. So,
Yeah. I used an acronym
okay.
like in the newsletter or something, and somebody was like, "What is that?" I was like, "I don't know. I just copied what they told me." Like, I was just disseminating information. Like, why would I know what that is? Turns out it was like a kind of assessment, but we don't have those. So I was like, why would I know what these social studies assessments in 7th grade? Like, I don't do any of that. I was given information. Don't ask questions. I just work here. Like, no. And I didn't ask. So that's, I think, surprising sometimes to people where they're like, if they're a person who's like, I need to know every little thing, I'm like, oh no. Like, and that for me, that's come with age. I'm like, no, thank you. I don't
Yeah.
need to know I'm going to stay in my lane.
I'm
and
gonna
not
stay in
worry
my
about it.
lane, but look around also. Like I'm definitely peeping out the windows.
Yeah, I might glance, but then I'm like, eyes forward, eyes forward.
Right. Eyes off.
That's right.
All right. Well, before we close up, I want to show you, like, are you big onto
Look
the
at
like the
this.
pageless thing? Are
Yeah,
you into this
you
pageless
know
thing?
what? Yes, except for when it comes to, ooh, do that again. What you just like, where did you hover and it kind of showed the page a little bit, like it was like a pretend page. Did you go in the body? It suddenly like showed itself. There it is. Look at that. Okay, so you can see like what a sheet of paper would look like. Um, I have been in,
I see what you're talking about.
see what I mean? Yeah, it's all of a sudden like a little shadow. I have been,
Oh,
God,
I'll tell
I
you what that is. That's a
love,
table of contents.
I love a table of content. I love a
Mhm.
linked table of contents too. Woof, super good. So the page list, oh, that's literally just the table. Okay.
I literally want to show you something though. Keep going, keep going.
Page list has been fabulous. The only problem is it lets you just get so wide. We made like an EOC S8 or EOC AP test like bell schedule thing, and the
Can't
person who
print.
made it like so can't print. So I had to make it like 80%, and then I could print them all on one day because it was schedule lunches, which was a beautiful thing if you could get them on one day, but I had to like make it a PDF and then like adjust them, which was fine, but not everyone. Now everyone's like, "Hey, can you print it?" which is fine. So that was my only gripe. Other than that, I was loving Pageless.
I really do think pageless, we have not used it a lot, but my colleague and I sat down and were thinking about how to make things
Yeah.
seem more seamless for next year. Obviously, like I think in terms of pages, because I'm also like, let's print it out. But
Yeah,
pageless for me, I'm going to show you what we've come up
like a
with.
little website. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So we have all of our unit plans over here, and then our like our scope and sequence, and it's like all these different documents. And I was
Right.
like, okay, we're getting somebody who's never taught before. I do not want them to spend 30 minutes trying to find the thing.
That's right.
So we have
Oh.
right? Okay. And that's the
What?
thing, right? So I've got my lesson plans here. I've got the can-dos, like the scope and sequence. But because these are headers, Meredith, this is what blew my mind the other day. Wrong choice.
Oh, everything's
Please,
fine.
please do not call defects on me.
That's right. You're canceled.
Right. So I have this is as a heading 3, and I have this as a heading, but there's something with pageless or docs, I don't know, but these can collapse.
What? Since
It can
when?
so they can, I don't know, but it's there now. And the best part about it, like, because I know for my admin, if they were to look at this all expanded, they'd be like, oh my God, where do I find the thing? My colleague and I looked at it and we were playing with it. And I was like, okay, if I expand it on my side, is it expanded on yours?
Right.
Yes. If I collapse it on my side, is it collapsed on yours? Yes.
Okay.
So if I'm in the middle of like unit 4, I can just collapse everything else out. And so my
Yes.
admin can
And
go
then just send
through
them that.
and
Right.
no, I just share this link. It's a live
That's what I
document
mean.
on
You're
here.
just like, here you go. Yeah. And it's
It can
already like
direct their
collapsed.
eyes to
Right.
where they need to go. And I was like, I do not know when drop downs became a thing with headers, but I am
Me
here for it.
neither.
Because if you don't want to overwhelm somebody, ta-da, it's all right there. And all this stuff is up here. Is just because they're headers, I was like, let's make a table of contents so you can click back and forth a little easier. Yeah, right? Sharing with you now.
Yes, please. I will make a copy.
I
That is super cool.
had like the look, sorry, love you, but
Unbelievable.
yeah, I was a total accident where I was like, oh, what is this drop down menu? What is this?
Right.
But
Like
yeah,
what?
yeah. So I'm feeling, it could be a disaster next year, but we're gonna try it. It's better than,
Who cares? Yeah,
chances of a
exactly. I was gonna
disaster.
say, well, and it's better than, yeah, absolutely. Like, why
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
So cool.
Dude.
I know. So
Wonderful.
look, I found a thing to share with you for once in my life. I can say I
Yeah,
shared a
right.
thing with Meredith.
Oh, please. No, dude, that's super cool. I will say, yeah, I've only been in Pageless for this one document, and there are there's no, none of that. I think, you know what? It's also in published view. Do you think that makes a difference?
The thing I was just showing you.
The document that we have at work that's Pageless, because now I'm like, I wonder if some of that stuff would collapse if it weren't published.
Are you planning to send it out as a website?
Yeah, we've sent it out
A
like to
link.
parents because it's like we've sent it out to parents
Gotcha.
like as the bell schedule, but I'm like maybe the collapsible, maybe the editable version, which I don't have access to, is like collapsible. That's fun. So that'd be
That's cool.
interesting. I also love like a good published embedded share. I'm like
Me
easy.
too.
Boop. And with the Pageless, super sharp because it's like a little website.
Yeah. I mean,
Like just no boundary. He's got it super wide. So it's like the whole screen. It's great.
interesting. I'll play with it.
And then all of your like all of the side stuff goes away. So then it's just like when you do a document and you delete edit and you make it preview,
Mm-hmm.
it's like that where it's just like boop, it scoots it up a little bit, super clean on the sides. There's no file, edit, view. Like if you do that document and at the end of like where you have edit, just type preview, it'll like scooch it up a little bit and then be like, here you go. And like that's what you can do. So good. So in Pageless, it's like that, but like wider. It's cool.
Okay.
But could there be drop downs? I know. Now I'm like,
listen, use those headers because it was totally worth the 10 minutes of formatting for that.
Super cool. Oh
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
I'm doing that immediately.
Okay, well now you have it. You can just backwards design it.
Whoop, whoop.
All right, I don't have any wine with me, but I have an empty flower pot. So cheers for a good
That's
year.
right. Oh, we did it. We did it.
All right, well I will see you.
Oh,
See you.
yeah. I owe you
Are
a
you
text
traveling?
too.
Do what?
I owe you a text, but I can't remember. I think I needed more information on something that I was asking anyway, so I'll text you too. I've got this summer I've got so student trip to South Africa in June. I've never been. Yeah, so I'm excited and never been there, never actually been on the continent except like Morocco for 4 minutes, so no.
We love South Africa. We went as a family.
I can't wait. It's gonna be great. And then Denver for Fluency Matters for the Fluency Matter conference.
Fun.
And that's I think it. I had some other stuff like going, but no, I just canceled all of it. Too much.
Good for you, because you did not
like,
even like breathe last summer.
Yeah, and like in the spring too. So I try to say, I try to say no a lot and not do stuff that I genuinely don't want to do. But I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm good. Like things were less and less like a heck yeah, and if it's not a heck yeah, it's a heck no.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
like, there were a couple things that I went, oh yeah, that could be cool. No, not a heck yeah. It's not a heck yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna heck yeah to you because you were always a heck yeah, and I will see you when I see you. Have a good night, and hopefully this rests a little.
I know I have these headaches, but we'll figure it out. Oh well,
it will be okay.
Too much rain use. We need the summer.
Exactly, we're getting there. All right, talk to you later.
Hey, bye, friend.
Bye.